What you think and what you say becomes what you experience. And there are lots of tricks to that. It's not about positive thinking. Thoughts are created in 500 milliseconds. No one has the time to get in front of that. It's ridiculous. It's nonsense. It's new age bollocks. What you have control over is how you react to the thoughts you just had. It's Trevor G. Blake. If you want to know more about my messages and what I write about and teach, trevorgblake.com is the place to go. If you want to watch more of my videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also hit the little bell so that you'll be alerted for when another video goes out. Today I want to talk about a book I wrote in 2012, 2013. It's called 3 Simple Steps. It's been a New York Times bestseller 4 times since then. I'm very proud of that. I don't mind saying it. It makes me feel really good. And the reason it makes me feel really good is it's been an authentic New York Times bestseller. It's happened by word of mouth. I've paid nothing. I've done no promotion. And neither has the publisher, by the way. Publishers do not put money in promotion these days. What typically happens is there's 2 or 3 companies that are experts in New York Times bestseller algorithm and the Wall Street Journal algorithms. And they have a system, and for $50,000 to $100,000, they will buy you New York Times bestseller status, top 5 status. Easy to Google, so you can find out this for yourself. So what I find is a lot of times people say, oh, it must be good, it's a New York Times bestseller, but actually it could be terrible, it could be awful. It's been purchased for a reason. I didn't want that, and so when I wrote 3 Simple Steps, I just put it out into the universe to see what would happen, and so it's 4 times New York Times bestseller by word of mouth, and I'm very proud of that. The other thing about 3 Simple Steps is I held off writing it until I had something to talk about. And so a lot of best-selling books are written by people who've not achieved a single thing in their life before they write the book, and somehow they end up also being able to purchase space on Oprah Winfrey or some other TV show, and the book takes off. And it just, even though they could be brilliant books with lots of fantastic information, it doesn't feel right. It's not authentic. And so I wanted to do it a different way. So 3 Simple Steps comes about because when I was a kid, I found myself in what I thought were troubling circumstances, and I would hide in the public libraries from my tormentors, 14, 15 years old. And to pass the time, I'd just start reading, and I started reading biographies, which I'd never read before. I was blown away by these amazing people through time and in different aspects of life, adventurers and pioneers and musicians and scientists and doctors and actors and business people who had all started out in these adverse circumstances and yet somehow had overcome them and become huge successes and impacted the world. And that's what I wanted for me. I was written off by my society. I was going to amount to nothing. Didn't want that. I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to make a difference. And so I was blown away by it. But the more biographies I read, the more I started to see these patterns of behavior. And these became my 3 steps. And I adopted them for my life. I was naive enough and innocent enough to say, well, if it worked for Henry Ford and if it worked for Madam C.J. Walker in their time, without their scientific understanding of what they're doing, then it's got to work for me. Because I'm scientific, I'm a physicist, so I can understand why it works. So why don't I just do it and stop trying to analyze it? And that's what I did. And they became my 3 Simple Steps. And I've had an incredible life, a very blessed life. I'm very, very fortunate. I call it success with balance. I've had success in business, in leisure, in play, and in relationships. And that's why I wrote 3 Simple Steps after I sold my first company, which I started with $200, and I sold it for $105.5 million 6 years later. And I felt that at that point, even though it's a number and even though it's business, and even though none of us think of ourselves as materialistic, I felt that, okay, I've got a notch on my belt that allows me to be authentic and gives me validation, and I can write this book. And so I wrote it. The first step is all about reclaiming the individual, your birthright, the magical person, the alchemist you were meant to be. Sounds fantastical, right? But it's just science. Magic is the changing of one form of energy into another form of energy within the laws of nature under the power of will. That's what I do. I do it as an entrepreneur. I've done it 7 times in 7 companies. I've had an idea, I've converted it into its material equivalent, I've used that to impact the world, and then I've exited, enjoyed the money and the material and spiritual rewards, and then reinvested that into something else. Just energy moving all the time. That's all life is. Energy in motion. Constant change. And so I waited till I could show the material aspect of that energy flow, of that magic, of that alchemy, before I wrote the book. And so the first part of 3 Simple Steps is about reclaiming the individual you were meant to be, because you were meant to do that too. You were meant to convert energy from one form to another within the laws of nature under the power of will. What you think and what you say becomes what you experience. And there are lots of tricks to that. It's not about positive thinking. Thoughts are created in 500 milliseconds. No one has the time to get in front of that. It's ridiculous. It's nonsense. It's new age bollocks. What you have control over is how you react to the thoughts you just had. So if you feel fear, if you feel nervous about debt, or you feel inadequate, or you feel unworthy, you catch yourself feeling those things and you change your thought system and you come out with different, more self-affirming words. It's that simple. In order to protect yourself in that situation, in order to give yourself the space to allow yourself to react and to have the presence of mind to notice and observe, you have to do things that allow you to connect with your intuition, so that you can see it and feel it. And one of the things that the successful people in all those biographies did was meditate. So simple. I didn't realize at the time that I had my own form of meditation. My parents were really heavy smokers. They watched TV all the time. TV was always on. It drove me mad. So I would walk outside after I'd had my dinner and just walk over the fields in all kinds of weather and all kinds of light and darkness, and just be there with my own thoughts. I didn't know that was meditation, but it was. When Henry Ford went back to his old farmhouse where he grew up, and he sat in his father's rickety rocking chair, and he would just contemplate his next idea, even under difficult circumstances. He almost went bankrupt 3 times, but he overcame that by meditation, his form of meditation. He didn't call it meditation. It doesn't matter what you call it. It was just his giving himself time to be at peace with the world and to connect energetically, and then find out how to convert that. Madam C.J. Walker used to sit in a tree at 14 years old, came up with a brilliant idea that made her the first female millionaire in America. Isn't that amazing? So I started to do that myself. We lived in a ramshackle farmhouse, and I would walk out the back and I'd walk up the fields. There was a hill. I'd go across the pastures, in between the cows and the bulls and the sheep, and I'd find this one place where there was a single rowan tree. It was just a single tree in the middle of a pasture, middle of about a 10-acre field. Nothing else has survived the weather, the wind and the rain, which is constant where we grew up. This one rowan tree had made it, and it blew my mind away. And I would sit under it. Sometimes I'd talk to it, actually, and I'd sit under it, and I would just sit. I would do exactly what Henry Ford did. I would do exactly what Ralph Fiennes did. I would sit and be quiet. Such a rare thing, such a rare treat. And then one day I got into all kinds of spiritual stuff, and people were talking about meditation, and I realized, well, that was meditation. I've been meditating all this time, and it's been brilliant. It's given me this incredible life. And then I started to think about it and talk about meditation, and I realized that meditation is like a group word, like sport. There's 1,000 ways to meditate, just like there's 1,000 ways to play sport. You can throw a dart at a dartboard, or you can kick a football, or you can leap over a high jump. It's all sport. And so meditation's the same. You can put on a purple kaftan, and you can sit on a pointy rock, and you can climb the Himalayas if you so choose. You'll get no better benefit, no greater benefit, than if you just get up in the morning 20 minutes early, sit in a chair, and tried not to think too much. And that's it. And the rules, I've tried to demystify meditation, and I've said I call it taking quiet time, because that's what it is. Give yourself every day 20 minutes to yourself. What a luxury. I used to meditate on a ladder back chair at a window as the rain pelted the window pane, and I watched the rain drip down on a dark morning before I got dressed, before I showered and got into my suit and went to work. Today I meditate here. The difference between then and now is that I just continued to meditate. I have no talent, I have no secrets, I truly have no benefit that nobody else has. I haven't got a secret source hiding anywhere. I've made meditation a habit. 20 minutes a day, doing nothing but sitting by myself, letting life talk to me. So life can give me the ideas, and life can give me the confidence, and then I'll just go and convert that energy into something else. And that's all meditation is, the conversion of one form of energy into another form of energy within the laws of nature under the power of will. Treat yourself every day to 20 minutes of you time. And don't worry about your head going crazy and all these thoughts. And when that happens, you just laugh and you imagine them flowing out your head and you say, oh, there it goes again. It never changes, by the way. I've been meditating now since I was a teenager, and my mind still goes crazy. It doesn't matter. Because there's nanoseconds of magic in there that you don't even notice. And in that nanosecond of stillness that you haven't noticed, life has spoken to you and put a blueprint in your brain of your potential future. That's all it is. There's nothing mystical about it. There's nothing clever about it. You don't need any skills. You don't need to be lithe or spiritual or teetotal or any of the nonsense that I see people reporting online, none of whom have achieved anything, by the way, except having an online site where they talk about meditation. If you want a life of dreams, you put all the nonsense aside, you put all the mystique away, and you treat yourself every day, without fail, no excuses, 20 minutes, sitting somewhere quietly like this, and doing nothing, and having no expectations, but knowing that life notices those moments. You're like a lighthouse across the Higgs field. The Higgs field is that energy that connects us all. You're like a lighthouse, and life will come to you and give you whatever you dream.